Oh, you like comedy? I love comedy. I have somebody here right now who I met a while back, and he is an upcoming comedian that I find hilarious. His name is Tahaa. Taha, thank you for making time on Tony's Topics. How you doing, bud?
Thank you, Tony. Thank you for having me. I am doing well. How are you?
Good, bro. So you know what's funny? When I met you a while back, we met at a mutual friend's dinner, and we were just, what do you do for a living? You said, oh, I'm a comedian. I'm like, oh, here we go. Another guy thinks he's a comedian. Like another guy, I'm an actor, whatever. I'm pre-revenue. I'm a hedge fund manager, whatever. So, and I, looked you up after you gave me your info, and I got to tell you, dude, I'm humbled because you're a funny dude, man. And I'm in the entertainment business, and I have done, as I mentioned before, I've done stand-up comedy myself, not to your level, but I know what it's like to get on stage, and I like to think I'm a good judge of who is funny. And you, dude, you had me in tears, especially when you did the one skit about, and just I have a lot of friends of mine who are minorities, who are Asian particularly, and I was married to a Korean woman way back when, and your skit was about someone asking you, right, like. And I bring up my past real quick to kind of tie into the skit that I thought you did was funny, because you said something like, oh, someone asked me, oh, Taha, where are you from? And you go, oh, I'm from Brooklyn. And then the person goes, no, seriously, where are you from? I'm from Brooklyn. And that drives, the reason why I mentioned my former marriage and my friends who are Asian, that drives them crazy, rightfully so, when people are like, where you from? I am American. Where you from? From Brooklyn? No, where you from? So white people, we don't get that because it's assumed we're quote unquote American, or we're from New Jersey or from New York. So you played that perfectly. You're like, I'm from Brooklyn. I didn't want to say I was from Queens, but I don't want to lie. So you kept on going down the rabbit hole with her, playing on her ignorance, really. Not that she was being a bad person, but you had me in tears on that one, because I'm like, I've experienced that watching my friends and my ex have to like struggle with, like, it's insulting. People don't mean to be insulting, but it's just like, because you don't look like me, how could you possibly be, whatever. So that's the other reason why I have you on too, because it's like, we go through life as being the majority here, right? Me, the white people, right? And it's just like, we don't know what it's like. But in a way, we have more in common than we have apart. So just because I am not Asian, or I'm not Hispanic, or I'm not Middle Eastern, or I'm not Filipino, 99% we're the same. So so I wanted to have you on about that. I wanted to talk about your comedy. Anyways, I chewed up a lot of your time, but
No, it's wonderful. I like hearing nice things about me. So please carry on. I can
gas
stay
you
on
up. Yeah,
another half
gas
an
you
hour
up. You're
listening to
right. Hey, I could be your agent, dude. I could be your agent. But listen, so when I told my parents way back when that, I wasn't going to go to college, which I did go to college eventually, but I wasn't going to go to college. I wanted to be a DJ. I wanted to be an entertainer. My friends and family looked at me like I had 10 heads. My friends were like, bro, come on, man. Like, don't be stupid. What did your family think about you? I mean, you come from, a Pakistani family, and I'm assuming it's like any minority family. My family's from Italy. They weren't too happy about me saying, you want to hear your kid say, I want to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, right? Nobody wants, I'm going to be a comedian or a DJ. Everyone thought I was nuts. Like, what did your family and friends think about you when you're like, I'm going to do it?
uh, so my family is, I come from a very disturbed family. My father
Perfect for
has
comedy.
several, yeah, my father has several wives,
Oh,
and I have several siblings.
okay.
And if you hear my special Halalarious, I discuss how it goes there.
Okay.
So my
Okay.
father is not always around to kind of like be the father figure in my life.
Right.
But my mom was pretty strict. Like she wanted me to study, and so her thing was always like, do whatever you want to do with your time, as long as you give me a degree, I'm
Okay.
okay.
Right.
So even still, my family found out that I started comedy. I started in 2016 in Germany,
Okay.
and my family found out in 2020. So for 4 years, I kept it a secret.
Oh. So
Like
wait,
I
what did
had
you tell them? Obviously you had to have a cover, right? Like you worked at like Walmart or something. I don't know.
uh, my cover was I was teaching
Oh,
in
okay.
Germany and in Turkey.
Well, listen, if you're bringing in money, how could they prove you otherwise, right?
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, so my family was pretty chill about it once they found out. I had already had. Right now, I'm close to 10,000 followers on YouTube,
Oh, dude,
but
really? Wow. That's my
but I had
dream.
already had 2,000 followers when my mom found out for the first
Oh,
time.
Well, you could still cover it and say, "Hey, listen, that's my side hustle, mom." But listen, by the way, at least you weren't saying, I'm a neurosurgeon, mom. Like you didn't go crazy. You just said I'm a teacher, which is very relative, right? Anybody can.
Coming from my culture, as long as you are not money laundering or developing bombs, you're fine.
Yeah, right. But you're not joking, right? So, you talk a lot about, your Muslim background, your Muslim culture, which I think is great. And I think, that's the other thing, especially in our country here in America, like there's a lot of misconceptions, right? About never mind Muslim. There's a lot of misconceptions about, you name it, Christian, Hindu, Jewish, Muslim, atheists. I have friends of mine who are atheists, and you know what? They're the sweetest, most caring, loving people. But my Christian friends could never believe that. So it's there's a lot of misconceptions. So you talk a lot about being Muslim, and what is one struggle or story from your upbringing that you thought was uniquely Muslim, but realized actually it's something everyone goes through? So what did you find out in your comedic journeys that was like, oh wow, I thought it was just a Muslim thing, but no, it's a human thing? What was one thing that hit you like, oh, okay, it's a communal, people get it?
I think it's, I don't know, coming it from a Muslim's mouth, it's flirtation. The style that every community and especially religious background people would flirt is like, it's still in the category of flirting.
Yeah.
But it would be very coverted when it comes to my part of the world a little bit. Now I'm hearing from Pakistan that people are a bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that whenever you have men and women in a working environment or in study halls, you would notice that flirtation is something that goes on.
Yeah.
And I enjoy how different people from different cultures would approach it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think to your point, the common thread is we're human, right? I mean, men are men, women are women. And it goes back to what I was saying before. It doesn't matter what color you are, what religion you are. 99.9% of us, we're the same. We want love. We want to flirt. We want to have good food. We want to have good friends. So it's the noise, the news that wants to portray us as against each other when we're not, but it's just they pick the bad apples in everybody's family and everybody's culture. So that's pretty interesting that you talked about the flirting thing there. Okay, so now I want to talk about the power of an inside joke. So there's a beautiful sense of community in Islam, and are there inside jokes within the culture that you love explaining to secular Christians or secular people? Like, how does it feel when you see a light bulb go off in their head when someone who isn't from your background, like, are there inside jokes or inside things of being Muslim that you catch that people like, they intrinsically get it? It's like, oh yeah, I see. Yeah. Has that ever happened to you?
So there is one phenomenon which is only very peculiar to Muslims, but if I tell it to somebody, they automatically understand.
Right.
So we go to mosques to pray, and you would see in our culture that people will dress up very nicely on festivals when they have to go to pray.
Right.
So just like you'll go on your Christmas to church, you'll wear your best clothes, your shoes, and then you're there. So we would do that on Eid, just like we had after Ramadan. We get 2 Eids in a year. So everybody would dress up very well, except for the shoes.
Uh-oh.
Because, and this is really astonishing, you're top to bottom in the best clothing that you have bought. And you have also bought the shoes, but you're not wearing them to the mosque. Because when you go to the mosque, you have to take your shoes off and leave them outside. And if you are wearing new shoes, when you come back,
you're not going to be there.
They're not going to be there.
Right. So people get that, right?
So that's something very unique to us because, hey, if somebody who's from outside our culture, I remember my ex was from Bulgaria.
Okay.
So she would see me dress up. We were in Turkey. She would see me dress up, and then I would not wear the new shoes that I got, the slippers, however you want to say that. And she's like, "Why are you doing that? dressed up so well, it doesn't make sense. And I then had to say, okay, go there and you'll see.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And it's funny, in the Korean culture, it's something similar. When you walk into a Korean person's house or a Japanese person or even Chinese person's house, you take off your shoes. But if there's a big party, there could be 100 pairs of shoes, and then you hear the arguing. Where's my shoe? You took my shoe. So I think people, especially maybe an Asian person, could totally relate to that. But even if you're not, whatever, Muslim or Asian, or people understand the thing of confusion and fashion. So that there is that thread there that I think people understand that. That's interesting. So I was going to say, my other question, though, is so breaking the serious stereotypes, right? There's often a misconception that religious cultures are strict and serious and stoic. How does your comedy help dismantle the idea and show the world that the Muslim community has a massive, vibrant sense of humor? Because I'm assuming Muslims probably think this about Christians or Jews or Hindus, like, oh, they're like, they have no sense of humor, or they're not cool, or they're not like. I think it's human nature to have stereotypes about the other person. So how do you dismantle that and show the sense of humor? I guess through your stories is one way. I mean, like I said, you just talked about that, about the shoes and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, this is going to sound stupid, but the Muslim community has a sense of humor, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Now, I know that sounds like a stupid question, but I'm not speaking for all white people, but a lot of my friends and people I know probably don't. They probably think Muslims are very serious. They never smile. They never look me in the eye. They never. But there is that vibrant community of humor, of love, of joy, and I can say this about Korean community too. I hear a lot of my white friends say stuff like, "Oh, Korean people or Asian people, they're not funny. They have no sense of humor," and that's not true. It's just you have to get to know people. And some cultures are a little bit more close to the cuff. Like us Italians, yeah, we're loud, usually speaking, right? And we're out and about. And it's a different culture, different way. There's no right or wrong, but I think there is a misunderstanding about the Muslim community. If you're not in that community, yeah, I often used to think like, oh, they're probably not too friendly or too funny, but that's not true. And I'm glad you're here because you're funny as hell.
Thank you. So first thing regarding Muslims that I have noticed, having lived in different parts of the world, I've noticed that people think that Muslim means Arabs.
Right. Indonesia has the largest amount of Muslims, and they're not Arabs.
Yes. Right. Yeah. India has a lot of Muslims. Pakistan has a lot of Muslims. Bangladesh, Persia, Iran, they are Muslims.
Right. They're not Middle Eastern, they're Asian.
Yeah. So this is where it's a spectrum of cultures that amalgamates. But because of how media portrays, and they're only Arabs that have been shown, people think whatever is happening in the Arab world, that's all Muslims are. And I can understand to an extent, because it makes it easier for them to, stereotyping is easier for human brain. I don't have to think much. Okay, that's how all of them are. Especially when you see somebody speaking in Arabic, it looks like they are fighting, but they are not. They're just having a conversation.
Bro, yes. Funny, because Italians are the same way. Italians are very, with their hands, they're getting loud. When I was a child, someone called the cops on my family, and they called the cops thinking that my father was abusing us. And the cops came, and we opened the door, and my father and mother, they're Italian, and everyone, we're all like shaking our head like, what? Dad's abusing us. And then the cops said, yeah, somebody said that there was yelling and screaming. I'm like, yeah, that's every day here. We're just talking. Like, there's not, yeah. So the cops were laughing, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to tell. Like, my father's like, yeah, come inside, whatever. Like, but yeah, so to your point, miscommunication, misunderstandings, people can be very loud and boisterous, doesn't mean they're angry. Or people could be very quiet and reserved. That doesn't mean that they're not funny and they're not affectionate. You can't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly. So with our part of the world, I could tell you that people enjoy humor. And in terms of stereotyping, when we look at the West, I don't know if people have told you this before, there is a lot of admiration towards the Western media and how they portray programs and comedy shows and songs. You would see in all of other cultures that are not Western, you would see some resemblance in the higher echelons of their society. They're trying to mimic that culture.
Right.
And just there is a very famous comedian from Egypt recently. He came along and became a big thing. Why am I forgetting his name?
That's all right. But the premise of the story.
Yeah. So his whole show was based on how Jon Stewart's show was,
Got it.
and that's how he became popular.
Right. Right.
So there is a lot of admiration that people sometimes miss. The thing that we are all we hate them for some reason.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
I find, especially in the showbiz business, I mean, one of the comedians that I like from this part of the world was Louis C.K.
Oh yeah, yeah. Until he got into some
Chappelle,
problems. Right. Chappelle's great. Yeah.
And then there is one comedian that I really like from England. He's actually Persian born, now in UK, Omid Jalili. People don't know him much in the US, but he's a big thing in UK.
Yeah.
He's been a legendary comedian there.
Okay.
So, and his comedy also has that influence of other comedians from the Western
Right.
world. So it's just.
I'm sorry.
So I feel like there is a lot of admiration towards the Western side also, which sometimes gets neglected.
100%. And that's the thing, right? You know, they don't hate us. You know, we don't hate you. You don't hate us. We don't hate them. Them don't hate us. But the noise, the news wants to pit us against each other. Even in America, I call it the noise, not the news. But the quote unquote news is always showing like black and white people hating each other, and black and white people have a problem with each other. I'm here to tell everybody, black and white people 99.9% of the time don't have problems with each other. They don't. But the news wants you to believe that, because if it bleeds, it leads. The news needs to have strife and arguments and anger. That's what people want to watch, a car crash. People don't want to watch the cars pass by easily. They want to watch a crash. So like the news is really part of the problem. They only show the 1% that's bad, but not the 99% that's good. And so, yeah, I mean, it's important. I think comedy brings that out. I think comedians are so necessary. You know, you guys are the tip of the iceberg. You're the thing that really can break down, you know, walls and help people to see the common humanity. You know, I think we underestimate the power of laughter, you know, and that's why I wanted to have you on too. It's like we really take for granted the power of sharing a meal, sharing a laugh together. When you laugh, that breaks everything down. And if you're a Muslim, I'm a Christian, and we're laughing like, whoa, that's powerful. You know, it's more powerful than the anger. So I think that's important, that comedians have a very important job throughout human history. You know, when you can make fun of yourself too, and make fun of your culture and your friends and your family, but also laugh at each other. It's so important. Before I forget, where can people find you online and on YouTube? What's your website? Or
It's just my name, Tahaa Kahn, Tahaa Kahn.
Tahaa Kahn, right?
Yeah, it's TahaKahn.com, Tahaa Kahn on Instagram, TikTok,
Okay.
YouTube, same.
Cool.
My special is available on Amazon Fire TV,
Okay.
called Halalarious. The second one is coming out soon.
Cool.
72 Virgins.
I'm sorry. What is it called?
72 Virgins.
Oh boy. Okay. All right.
Uh,
So that's yeah. But you see, right? That's why we can laugh at that, right? It's okay. We don't hate each other. It's not. You know, I think sometimes with comedy, people, especially in America, I think not all people, but so many people get so uptight about if somebody makes a joke, an off-color joke. It's like, it's okay. Relax. Like, no one's trying to hurt you. No one's, even if someone's like, hey, where are you from, right? That's just ignorance. They're not evil. They're not bad. They're just ignorant. They're making an ignorant comment, you know? So everyone needs to just chill. And especially nowadays, comedy is so more important today than it was 5 years ago, than it was 10 years. I mean, so, you know, you're doing great work. And by the way, I would also say, one of the things I do love about your comedy is you're very chill in your delivery. It's like, the boxer Muhammad Ali. You float like a butterfly, but you sting like a bee. Because I encourage people to check you out on YouTube because you're very, very, just chill. You're almost like gonna fall asleep, and then all of a sudden, bam, funny joke. Like, whoa, what the hell? Like, so you lull people into a, it's like a Venus flytrap. It's like, Taha's just talking, and then bam, and here comes. You're like, whoa, dude. So I like that. You're intense, but in an you're in an understated intensity. So that's what makes it funny because you just don't see it coming. So you're not walking on like I love Chris Rock, right? I love Chris Rock, but he's very intense. He walks on the stage, he's walking back and forth. F this, F that. I can't believe it. That's cool. I like him.
I could never do that.
Right, but your end point, your end result is just as powerful as Chris Rock's, except you deliver it in a very smooth way. So that's what makes it more funny because people aren't expecting it, and then it's just bam, 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 bam. It's like, whoa, dude, you're crying, laughing. So I think that's what I really appreciate about because as you know, as a comedian, right, it's all about delivery. The delivery, the timing is so important. It's not even necessarily what you say, but it's how you say it. And Chris Rock does his way, which is great, and you have your way, which is also great. And that's what really made me start, following you and laughing because it's just like, bro, you got that, you just don't even see it coming. So it's really fun. Now, in closing, comedy as a bridge, right? So I'm a Christian, you're Muslim, and we're both sitting here laughing. Have you ever had a moment after a show where someone from a completely different walk of life came up to you and said, "That's exactly how my family is"? Has that ever happened to you?
It has happened to me once. I was in, we were doing a show somewhere I think I was in Sacramento,
okay,
California. And I think it was Sacramento. So I made a joke about like, this is just a town where people just come and they don't stay here and they just fill up their gas and get some chips and move on. Even it was Sacramento, I think. Even your governor doesn't want to live here. It's the capital of California, and he doesn't live here either.
Yeah.
So generally what happens is I like to stay, if I am headlining a show or even if I am on the cast, I'd like to say thank you to the people who have come to the show rather than just running off. I try to do it as much as possible. So I was doing that and I was saying thank you to people who come to the show. And one of them said, it was somewhere in my head that's how people perceive us.
Okay.
But then you came on stage and said it.
Oh, yeah.
So they found that funny because it was somewhere in their mind, but they just didn't have the vocab to actually put it that how you want to place your city in the overall scheme of things. And you said feel like if you're going to Napa, you just bypass Sacramento. If you're going to LA coming back, you're bypassing Sacramento. So you're never staying in this town. It's not worth it.
Right. Funny. Yeah. No, that is right. I mean, those middle states, they get crapped on, right? They're just transient. And you're picking up that important thing that we all kind of know intrinsically. So, okay, before we go, if you in the sense of shared human experience, okay, if you could have the entire world, regardless of their religion, where they live, understand just one thing about the heart of the Muslim culture through your comedy, what would that be that you would want people to understand about the Muslim culture? What would it be through your comedy? What are you trying to tell us, or what would you like us to know?
Irrespective of what you are hearing about Muslims, the whole religion is based on coexistence and peace. That's what I've been, especially in the recent environment, how things are, especially with regards to Muslims. Coexistence, people think that we do not take it as well, but coexistence is something that is huge for Muslims, and the culture is designed in a way, even though it doesn't look from the outside. The worst thing that happens, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to say that, the worst thing that happens is that people who are born here, who are Muslims, they are very much like you. So you don't feel that there is a difference. So they follow the same culture. Most of them turn into atheism or they become agnostics and they don't follow the religion as such. But the advantage of coming to see someone like me who has lived in my own culture for majority of my years and then have traveled the world when I was mature enough to understand different cultures. The thing that you get is my religion wants to coexist, but it does not want to lose its identity.
Got it. Got it. Yeah.
So that is, if something, I don't know what I'm blabbing a lot of things.
No, I get it. I get it. Because by the way, I was brought up a very, very strict, devout Catholic. And I can tell you, devout Catholics feel the same way. I can tell you that right now. You know, and devout, and I also have friends who are from all religions. And anybody who is a Jew, a Hindu, a Christian, a Catholic, a Muslim, yeah, they're going to say exactly what you just said. You know, my own mother is like Mother Teresa. My mother, okay, my mother, like I always say my mother makes Mother Teresa look like she's an atheist, but my mother always worries about that too, that she's going to lose her religious, you know, culture. And so you just said something that is a common thread. Again, we're humans, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I want to respect your time because I know, you know, time is important, but I want to thank you for coming on. Is there anything else in closing, my friend, before we go? Tahaa, thank you so much for making time.
Thank you so much for seeing me. This has been wonderful. I wish I can shake hands with you through the screen.
Virtual shake. But yeah, man, you are a funny dude.
Thank you.
Keep it going. And I hope to see you soon, inshallah. And that's it, my friend. So guys, check him out. He's amazing. I'm going to put the links below and you can see his shows. He is a pisser, okay? Thank you, Tahaa. Have a great day, everybody. I'm signing us off in 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.